Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Sweet and Good Torah. All right, so there's been a lot of talk recently about Trump's deal for Gaza. So there's a lot of confusion. I wanted to kind of compare the Torah perspective of what really is going to be the mission of Moshiach ben Yosef and Moshiach ben David versus what Donald Trump is offering right now for his Gaza deal. And also a little quick explanation of what's the difference between the Gullus, between the exile and the Gula. Well, we're very much still in the Gullus Edom, the Roman exile. So what are the two main factors that are holding us back? So Chazal, it says there's two main factors. There's the Se'or Sheba Isa, which means it's the yeast in the dough, and this refers to the Yetzer Hara. So we have two conflicting impulses. We have the Yetzer Hara, the evil impulse, and the Yetzer Tov, the good impulse, and we're constantly choosing between the two. So how is this really keeping us in the Gullus? The Yetzer Hara, unfortunately, it convinces just on a massive level a lot of Jewish people just to not even want to learn the Torah, not to follow the Torah, not to keep Shabbos. Like this crazy idea that like keeping Shabbos is not a Jewish thing, or keeping kosher is not a Jewish thing. I mean, it's the very essence of what it is to be Jewish, of our special relationship we have with Hashem, our God, following the great gift of the Torah. I mean, this is the essence of being Jewish, and yet there's this insanity, there's this madness that's coming from this Se'or Sheba Isa, the Yetzer Hara, that Jewish people shouldn't even be involved with Torah. And then even the Jewish people that are involved with Torah, it's still very difficult. The Yetzer Hara entices, seduces people to do an avera, to transgress the words of the Torah. So it's this constant battle, and it's not so easy, and that's one of the factors that are keeping us in this Gullus. The second factor is the Shibud Malchus. We're being ruled over by the other nations, specifically the Empire of Edom. So Edom nowadays, the ancient Roman Empire, the ideology of the Roman Empire, it's become now the Western powers, and possibly also probably Russia. But you see, like, the ideology of Rome, it's in, the United States of America, the USA, powers of Europe, nations like England, France, Germany, Spain, Poland, take your pick, all Western, Eastern Europe, Australia. So it's all around this Western ideology, and possibly this Eastern ideology of Russia. It's all Edom. And really, even though Israel, even though the secular Zionists have proclaimed themselves that they're free and independent, we see, especially in the last year, they're very dependent. They completely rely on America and other nations for their weaponry, and they're not free to do what they want. So these are two factors, and we're very much in the Gullus. And so how do we break out of it? So one of the main things that Gula is the recognition that Hashem's running the whole world, and that we see that Hashem hu ha'elokim ein od milvado, that really Hashem is running the show. There's no other power, there's no other divine power, there's no other power on earth that can go against the Ratzon of Hashem, the will of Hashem. So when it's time for the Gula, like all the nations of the world, they won't be able to stop it. And they'll recognize that, we're all more connected than divided, that we all, were created by this infinite being who loves mankind and wants a relationship with all mankind. And it's the mission of the Jewish people, through learning the Torah, through following the Torah and doing the mitzvos, to bring the world to this closer relationship with Hashem. And then we see the miraculous, the nevuah, the prophecies of the world peace, of the swords being beat into plowshares, just a change from the trillions of dollars that are spent, of weapons of mass destruction and warfare, and that can be changed into a world focused on agriculture and just making a peaceful life, for everyone in the world, and a life more filled with acquiring wisdom and knowledge of the world, and not, unfortunately, using knowledge and wisdom to destroy and to attack. Right, so we're not there yet. We got a ways to go. Okay, so one thing we see now is, so Trump just came up with this crazy proposal that he wants all the Arabs to leave Gaza, and they'll be populated into other cities, and you know, it's gonna be great. And then America will take over Gaza, and then it'll be another resort, resort cities on the Mediterranean. So it all sounds great on the surface. Okay, so today, President Trump, he clarified a little bit, and he said really what's going to happen is that the Israeli government, they're going to finish the war against Hamas, and they'll work on getting all the Arabs to leave and to go to other countries, and then America will be happy to come in at the end and take over, and then I guess he's thinking that the wealthy Arab nations will pay for it all. Okay, sure. I mean, he also said that he was going to build a big, beautiful wall, and Mexico was going to pay for it. So sometimes these things are exaggerations, and he's using them for negotiations. And then the actual reality becomes much less. So unfortunately, we've seen this already before he even became inaugurated for the second time. He demanded all the hostages be released before his inauguration, and that did not happen. I think there was only 3 hostages that were released, and then Israel had to basically had to surrender to Hamas. They basically had to do this crazy 3-phase hostage deal. So Baruch Hashem, it's good. Any hostage that we can get out of Gaza is fantastic, but it wasn't. It was the threat of American military power without any actual American military power, and it seems like this new deal is the same thing. Israel will do all the work. The Israeli soldiers will pay the price, and then America will get the reward. And in the history of mankind, there's been no nation that has ever won military victories and then surrendered to their enemies. And the only nation that's defied this logic of winning a war and then negotiating a surrender is constantly the Israeli government. And there's kind of this myth, but the reality is very, very different. In 1948, Israel, they established a secular state in the holiest land in the world, but they also lost the old city to Jordan. So there was a religious community that had been living there for hundreds of years, and they were all kicked out, and they went to Mea Sharim. So 48, the holiest place in the world, the old city of Jerusalem, was actually lost in that war. In 67, they reclaimed the old city of Jerusalem, but then once again, they gave away the holiest place in the world, the Har HaBayis, the Temple Mount, back to Jordan. The peace treaties with Egypt and Jordan, after Egypt and Jordan were just exhausted of their wars with Israel and never going to fight another one, after the miraculous victories that Hashem gave to them, once again they created these peace treaties and gave back land and all kinds of things to the people that have been defeated. And then, like we see more recently with the Gaza disengagement, and that went horribly wrong. So every time land, or Oslo is a great example, every time land is offered for peace, there's never peace, and there's more war. So it doesn't seem that the formula is working, but yet we keep doing it again and again and again. Okay, so what is going to be the difference between what Moshiach ben Yosef and Moshiach ben David are going to do? And we see a template in the Torah. We see a template of in Sefer Yeshua, in Sefer Yeshua ben Nun, about Joshua, that the Torah, that Hashem's commanded us that when we come back, when we actually exit the Gullus, when the exile is over, we're supposed to fight the hostile nations, the nations in the land of Israel that are trying to kill the Jewish people. So nowhere in the Torah does it say of making peace plans. And actually, when Yeshua made a peace plan with the Givonim, the Gibeonites, they tricked him, making them think they were from a far distant land, and they really lived there. They were one of the Canaanite tribes, the Canaanite tribes, that it doesn't go well. But so there's a very different formula. There's a formula of if you have people trying to kill the Jewish people, that you don't keep making peace treaties with them, and then they break them again and again. You have to remove the people trying to kill you. So unfortunately, in the modern world, we've seen that there's basically like 7 major Arab terrorist groups around Israel and in Israel, And it's horrible. They're training their children from a young age to hate Jewish people, to kill Jewish people, and it's just been constant warfare. So on the surface, I mean, it's a good idea. Why have people trying to kill you, live right next to you? It seems like complete madness that just happens again and again and again. And you would think that after the horrible massacre on the Shabbos of Simchas Torah on October the 7th, that there would be a change, in the dynamic, and no more talk of two-state solutions and all the madness that's never worked in the past. So on the surface, it seems like a good idea that if some of the Arab people that are living in Gaza want to relocate to other Muslim countries or any Western country that will take them in, it seems like a good deal. But the reality is it's very hard to convince the people who have been taught since a young age, that, this land was stolen from them and they must hate the Jewish people and they must constantly attack and try to kill the Jewish people. So the reality is very, very different. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like this is starting to create a series of events that Bezrat Hashem are leading us to the Gula, and it's an awakening that that we are still in the Gullahs, that we are still in the exile. But really, what's going to end this? What's going to really change the dynamic? What's going to lead us to those beautiful visions of the prophecy in the Torah? Is it has to be an awakening inside the Jewish people, and instead of relying on the politicians, right, we have to rely on the only one that's really going to help us out, and that's Hashem. So where we kind of reached the breaking point, and I don't know where our breaking point is. I really thought it was October the 7th, but it seems like that was just one step on the path. But right, when we were in Egypt, and the Pharaoh died, and then we saw that the new Pharaoh was even worse than the Pharaoh before, then that was our breaking point. And the Jewish people cried out to Hashem to save us and to bring us out of the gullus, of the exile. And then Hashem demonstrated in a miraculous manner, the osos, the signs, and the mofos, the wonders of the Eser Makos, of the 10 plagues. And Hashem revealed to the Egyptians like his complete power over the world, over everything that exists. And it's interesting because in the Midrashim, it says, I believe in Shemos Rabbah and in the Midrash Tanchuma and in the Midrash Yalkut Shimoni, it talks about also that in the future, in the final Gula, Hashem is also going to demonstrate this power again, and there's going to be 10 plagues on a global scale this time. And the whole world is going to see clearly demonstrated that Hashem's the only power in the world, and that, that's it. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to take us to fully reach this awakening, but right, this secular nation in the holiest land in the world is not working out, and like depending on politicians to save us is not working out. And really, the only thing that's really going to save us is when we finally reach the point that the Jewish people cry out to Hashem, and we want to finally end this gullus. Then we're going to see the beautiful days of the Gula. All right, so may it happen soon. May it happen in a sweet way, and not through the bitterness and the war that we're experiencing right now. And I hope to see you back again soon on Sweet and Good Torah.